Hi, welcome to another episode of Airspeed Sessions, where we delve into the lives of everyday gigging musicians. I'm Rusty Schaefer, your host. This podcast is sponsored by Airspeed Audio. Our goal here is to give you some insight as to what motivates these musicians to keep playing and to let you in on their journey and their music. We welcome to the podcast today Arturo Chavez of the band Stanley Avenue. Arturo, welcome, pal.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. Well, let's talk about a couple of we'll get some particulars out of the way. So you live in Vegas,
Yes, sir.
okay? And the band is Stanley Avenue, and you guys gig in and around Vegas pretty routinely.
Yeah, we go expand as far as Boulder City. We play Boulder City pretty often. Henderson is basically Vegas, but it's like on the outskirts. It feels like you're kind of out of town sometimes when you play out there.
Right.
More
We'll
of a
put that.
small town.
Does the band have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can look us up on YouTube. We have all kinds of we're about to get a whole bunch of new material from our live sessions that we recorded multi-tracked. So it's going to be good audio coming soon.
Very cool. We'll put that up on the screen at the end of all the contact info. Okay, so I want to go back. Let's go back and let's start. You started playing guitar in 2000, is that correct?
Kinda. So I started playing guitar when I was in like probably middle school, just hanging out with my friends, and they had guitars, so I'd just kind of pick it up, and I had a lot of fun, but I never took it serious. And then in high school, I learned a whole lot of intros to songs,
So
and at least
what hooked you? Was it the ability to play something quickly? Was it the tones you were making? What was the hook?
the hook for guitar, like
Yeah, for
what
you,
got
like
me.
what all of a sudden resonated and you went, "Oh wow, I got to do this."
I think like most guitar players, it starts off with being able to play something that you hear. So you hear something on a record, and then you pick up and play the guitar. And you're even just one chord. You're like, wow, that actually sounds like that, at least close. And so you're like, that's awesome. That feeling just drives you, and still does till this day. When you play a song, and it's like, wow, that's what somebody else played, and I can play it now. That's super cool, exciting.
Very cool.
Yeah, just yesterday I was playing some Dead Kennedys, and I was like, I never learned how to play these songs, and it still feels good after so many years.
Right, man. So,
Yeah,
was that on an acoustic guitar, I'm assuming?
yeah, it was. It started with acoustic. It started with my friend's guitar, and then my cousin had a crappy little Mexican guitar that was probably like $10 or something. That thing ended up breaking because it was so fragile. And I learned on that, just black fingers, just gross. I don't think I ever changed the strings on that thing. Uh,
Now, did you
and
did you
then
grow
I got into electric.
did you grow up in El Paso? Is that correct? Where did you grow up?
Correct. Yeah. So
Okay,
I was born in El Paso, Texas, and then shortly after we had to move back to Juarez, Chihuahua, and I lived there for a while, and until I was about, I want to say 6 or 7, back to El Paso, and that's when it was in El Paso up until 2017, and then I've been in Vegas since then.
very cool. So,
I like it. 2007, man, time flies. I've been
time
out here.
flies. So, all right. So you start on electric. When did you start on acoustic? When did you first get into electric? Was it high school?
High school, definitely. But definitely when I started hearing bands like System of a Down and Deftones and Korn, and I was like, wow, this is just another level. Because I mean, I before that was a little bit of the Aerosmith, Boston, and stuff like that. And you can kind of somewhat get away with acoustic, Pink Floyd, and but then you wanted to get that super distorted sound, and I'm
Right.
like, ooh, electric. That's
Right. So a lot of
yeah,
players start electric clean, and then all of a sudden they discover distortion and they go, "Whoa, new world."
yeah, it's
Very cool.
amazing.
Very cool. Okay, so you get into electric now. Did you have a sense that like in high school that this is what you wanted to do, or you just kind of keep going?
I distinctly remember when I was in high school and thinking the possibilities of what I could do on the guitar are so massive and endless that I got really exciting, especially when I got my first little like a multi effects pedal. I think it was like a Digitech or something. And I saw that all the parameters and the different kinds of guitars, and then you take into consideration just music in general, as far as like the notation and the timing. That's a lot. And then you throw in chords, and then so it blew my mind so much that I was like, I can definitely see myself never reaching the end of music. So that was super exciting. Like right out of, in high school, right when I started playing electric guitar, and still to this day, I'm like, it blows my mind the possibilities that people can do with music and just guitar specifically for me.
Now, you took what, you took some lessons in high school. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I took a little bit, very little. I took some guitar classes in high school. I took 2 years, but I honestly learned way more on my own. It was the kind of high school teacher that he kind of would just let us play. He really inspired us. I think if anything, that was the biggest thing. But as far as technique, I did a little bit of classical guitar, but nothing that I took serious. He's trying to teach us classical guitar, and I'm over here listening to Rage Against the Machine, and so didn't really relate, but it inspired me because of how good he played.
Right.
And he would listen to our music and be like, "Oh, well, that's in this key and this that. Watch me. I've never heard the song before." Bam, blew my mind.
It's very interesting because it's a pretty common theme, like exactly what you're saying with going from acoustic, trying to play something then going to electric, then discovering distortion, then discovering delay and any kind of, effects, right? It's just one of those things where you're exactly right. You can't catch up as fast as you're discovering things, right? Like that's a super common theme. And of course, I'm assuming, you've gotten now like now instead of discovering new maybe effects, you're discovering different scales and so forth, and you're starting to weave in other things into your playing. I mean, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love that's one of my favorite things about learning other people's music is that I learned some of the techniques that they use, and styles that I would have been almost in. I don't know how I would possibly come up with that myself. So I get all the blends of all of those different flavors of other people's scales, of other people's chord progression choices and stuff like that. And it's just mixing all of that in a bowl or a painting, whatever you want to call it, all those
Right.
colors, and then coming out my own color, my own dish.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's really interesting that you mentioned painting because I often relate it to painting, right? But there's no way I can paint. Like if you put a palette and a can, like I would just make a mess, is what I'd make, right? But I
Same.
totally get the analogy of, especially recording, right? Oh, I want a clean guitar panned all the way to the right. Ooh, I want a little bit of distortion on this chord, and I want a lot of reverb, and I want it panned mid left. That kind of paint, and again, this is a common theme. It's really interesting to sort of pull all this out of these sessions that we have with guys like yourself. It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's a that's back to the thing I was saying earlier, like the possibilities of this new painting that you're making. Every single song, every single project can be so different in so many ways, even by the slightest little bit hint of a different color. You add just a little bit more distortion, a little bit more delay or whatever you want, and it just completely changes the dish or the
Right, right.
painting.
Now, did you have any sort of inkling to like songwrite at all while you were going through this journey in high school? I mean, were you kind of experimenting with songs?
A little bit, not as much. I had a band in high school, which we didn't really. I mean, we never even played a gig, but it was fun because we started writing our own music. We started playing other people's music, and it was super fun. The pos like because of my inspiration to just write my own stuff. I definitely got my taste on that then. And then throughout the years, I dabbled with writing, and then I didn't play guitar for a really long time, actually,
Really?
because I found girls.
They go hand in hand, man. Like you can't stop playing guitar.
Yeah, it was one of those things like right at the middle of high school, towards the end of high school. I was just too distracted. I was too distracted, and it wasn't until way later. It wasn't until like I want to say 2010, 11. So from like 2002 for like 8 years, 10 years, somewhere around there, I didn't really play a whole lot. I always had a guitar and I would just randomly strum some chords, but I just wouldn't really play until and when I got re-inspired to write and play and stuff like that is when I split with my ex-wife and I needed something. And my buddy that I worked with was like, "Hey, I played guitar too. Let's play some guitar. Get your mind off of stuff." And that was when it got reignited. And we wrote a bunch of songs, me and my buddy Jeff, which plays drums for me now with Stanley Avenue. And he got me out of some stuff, and that was a really good medicine to just get all these emotions out in music and in words. Not the best writer myself. I will definitely say that already. I'm not the best writer, but I definitely feel the release and the medicine of getting all that stuff out when you have to get it out.
I don't know of anybody, and I mean anybody, you know, I mean, even your best bands, the best guys out there that have made millions, right? I don't think their very first songs were, what the record label signed them on and the hit.
Oh, yeah.
They had to earn it, and you have to go through that. You have to go through that almost that flushing out, right? So you're putting stuff on paper and on musically, and then you keep trying. I think it's an acquired sort of an acquired art, almost like an acquired taste, like wine. You sit there, you have your first glass of wine. What do you know? You don't know anything,
You don't know anything. Yeah.
right? I mean, so experience in that realm seems to be, again, another common theme.
Introducing the Airspeed 2x12 PPD speaker cabinet. Designed and custom built in the USA with a focus on innovative design, expert craftsmanship, stunning elegance, and stellar audio quality. Our patent-pending performance projection design system lets you hear your speakers at their best. Angling the speaker baffle back 15 degrees, you now hear sound on axis instead of off-axis. You can learn more about the product on our website at airspeedaudio.com.
So, all right. So you get back into guitar like in 2010. So you start jamming, and I'm assuming you start gigging.
No, see, that's the thing. We when I started playing with Jeff, so we played for at least a year, just to ourselves, writing the silliest of songs. We wrote a song like about picking up chicks and like, come talk to my friend. It was just the silliest stuff. It was like a Tenacious D style. It was so fun. And then it wasn't until after that. And then we gigged a little bit. We just gigged because we would struggle to get like a 20-minute set because we were just writing our own stuff. And finally we got about a half-hour set. We started gigging a little bit here and there. But like most things, life just gets a little busy. That always stayed under the surface the whole time. And still to this day, it still does. Me and Jeff just kind of have our music. And then I started playing with Greasy Conversation, which is a jam band that was really experimental. We would just get together and have like a lick or an idea of a chord progression, and we would just play, just keep jamming, and we would play quite a bit. It was awesome. We played all over town.
So when did you feel like wow, I don't suck, I'm good enough to play out? Like when did that feeling come about with your playing?
There's so many chapters. There's like the first, back in middle school, wow, I don't suck, I'm a little bit better than that guy. I can play a Deftone song. Oh wow, I don't suck. All these guys suck compared to me right now. And then it was after playing with Greasy Conversation. I think that was a big jump, because it was just me experimenting with my guitar and kind of like learning intervals and learning different how to catch sounds that I hear in my head and have them come out of my guitar. That was really, really exciting. That was a big jump. And so once I did that for a while, I played with the band with Jeff was called No Hero. I played with him again, and he was like, dude, you've been playing. You're really good. And I'm like, I don't think I am. But then I would realize how much more, with more inflection, I would play my guitar of the other songs that I wrote. Like I would play the songs way better with more emotion and more flavor.
Cool.
Like,
Very cool.
interesting. And then sure enough, I got humbled, really, really humbled when I joined Stanley Avenue, because I was replacing the guitar player, and he's ridiculously good. He's like a guitar teacher. He teaches on a Guitar Center. Like he's just a really, really good guitar player, blues guy. And so that's a whole story, me getting into that band. And I got really humbled. But then after a couple of years of like kind of developing me as a professional guitar player, not just a jammer or not just a punk rocker, but like a professional guitar player that can play 4 hours the songs. And after doing that for a little while, then I look back at what I used to play with Greasy Conversation. I'm like, so much better now.
Right.
I'm good. I'm not bad. I'm not horrible.
What
So there's
so what do you like better? Do you like playing live or do you like recording? What kind of playing do you like better?
I would say I've always been more of a performer. I love recording and I love writing. I don't love recording. I will record, and I like the process of writing while you're recording and mixing and trying to develop a cool way of making the song sound. I think that's my favorite part about the studio and recording. I love writing, but definitely performing. I'm a performer. That's my therapy. When I get on stage, I forget about everything. I just focus on what I'm doing. I feed off the audience so much that afterwards it's no better drug in the world.
So tell me about Stanley Avenue. You said you've been in the band for a couple of years now.
About
So
3.5 years, almost 4 now.
is it are you guys you said you're going back into the studio, I think, to record? And
Yeah,
is
they
it all
have
originals?
yeah. So we're gonna do originals. We might throw in a cover or two, just because we have so many amazing covers that we don't do like the original. I mean, we wouldn't be the first band to record a cover and on our beginnings. So we're excited to do that, and we have like 7 originals that we play live constantly, and I absolutely adore all these songs, and people request them all the time that are like, when can I hear this on my on my phone or this and that, and we just haven't been able to. It's a little bit of life and also money. We're all starving artists, and it's not cheap to record, so we're trying to either right now we have a friend at UNLV that's going to help us out. So he's going to help
Cool.
us use the studio at UNLV.
Very cool. Now, are you playing mainly electric? Any acoustic in there? A mix?
Yeah, we play primarily electric. There's definitely certain gigs that are more like coffee shop type gigs, and we'll do either me and Felina, the singer, and her on the ukulele, or just me on acoustic guitar, or we do like an acoustic type setup with the drummer on a cajon, a bass player on plugged in electric. But so we'll do a little bit of that. We've done quite a bit of that. We have some really cool Christmas footage that we did. A lot of shows at Taverna Costera. Really, really good, really nice, good people out there. That place is great to play at.
And so what's the future hold for you and Stanley Avenue? Is it just gonna keep going and keep honing your craft, or any big plans?
The dream is to be able to get good enough cover gigs to where that could support our families. That'd be the dream, and with that, be able to fund our originals and our career with that, to so where we wouldn't have to go all in on doing that to be able to have a good job that we love to do, like performing our covers and stuff, and to still be able to write and produce our own music and see where that takes us. I mean, we don't have any cap off. I mean, we can go as big as we would be able to, but that would be that's the current dream that we're at. That's the goal.
And how often, how many times a week do you guys gig in and around Vegas?
Normally about two times a week, sometimes three, depending on the week. In slow season, we'll go one. We don't have a gig this week because Felina's out of town, so it ranges.
And I assume you're picking
We
up.
don't have a lot of set gigs.
I'm sorry. I assume you're still picking up your guitar and you're still experimenting and you're still discovering new sounds, songwriting, kind of whatever comes.
All the time. I have all my I don't know how many guitars at the house. Two in my room, two in the garage. I have a travel guitar. I have I have just guitars everywhere. I'm constantly trying to better my craft, play more accurate, learn different techniques. And I love playing with other people as well. Just that kind of push me and challenge me. We personally like going to like some of the jams out in town, and because I'd be rubbing shoulders with these professionals that are playing on the strip, for Michael Jackson and stuff like that are just having fun at a bar. And so I'm trying to take inspiration from these guys that would be the goal, to be a professional guitar player, in that sense, that my main job is to play somewhere that would pay me enough to support my family.
Right. Well, it sounds like it sounds like you're on the path. It sounds like you're like, I want to be a professional guitar player, but I think you are. I mean, from what I hear, I think you're doing it, man. I mean, I'm sure there's degrees of it, but you're doing it. And so I'm assuming on your Instagram and all that is where you guys are playing, right? Where our audience can go find you in Vegas, go find Stanley Avenue.
Yeah, we have a couple fun gigs coming up. We play at the Tuscany Piazza Lounge pretty often. That place suits us well, and it's so much fun when there's a packed house. And we have the First Friday main stage coming up in October. That's just really exciting because that's going to be a lot of exposure for all the young people that don't get to go to bars, because we play a lot of bars and clubs that it's only 21 and over. So at First Friday, I don't know if you're familiar with First Friday out here in Vegas.
I'm not. Where is that stage? Is it downtown?
Yeah, it's basically every month, the first Friday of the month, they do this big arts festival, everything from food trucks to artists, live music. And they have this, we play all the time, but we play at different spots, different bars and restaurants and clubs. But they have a main stage by the food trucks where they feature a lot of local artists. I'm really excited for that one.
It's down near Fremont. I'm assuming it's downtown, like Fremont Street, near there, or Arts District.
Not Arts District, correct. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's right on like Main Street. Yeah.
And what's the date for the Tuscany? When do you play there? Do you know?
That's the 14th. Let me double check here my calendar.
That's on Flamingo. If you guys are listening to this, that's the Tuscany's on Flamingo. Get out there and support Stanley Avenue for sure.
Yeah, we'll be at the lounge on the 14th of September, and then at Gold Mine Tavern, one of my favorite places to play, on the 27th of September, and then following First Friday after that.
Very cool. Well, Arturo, thank you so much for coming on Airspeed Sessions. It's been great listening and talking to you about your journey. We wish you the best, and we'll probably check in again in 6 months and see where you're lighting it up.
Oh yeah, huge. We're gonna be huge.
All right. Thanks, Arturo.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for your time.